Okay, hi everyone. I am going to call this meeting to order. This is the San Francisco Elections Commission regular meeting. Today is Wednesday, November 18th, 2020. It is now 3:02 p.m. Secretary, do you mind reading the introduction?
Sure, I can. So President Mobley, we're ready to begin. Thank you. The minutes of this meeting will reflect that due to the COVID-19 health emergency and to protect commission members, city employees, and the public, the meeting rooms of City Hall are closed. However, commission members and staff will be participating in today's meeting remotely. This precaution is taken pursuant to the various local, state, and federal orders, declaration, and directives. Commission members will attend the meeting through WebEx video conference and participate in the meeting to the same extent as if they were physically present. Public comment will be available on each item on this agenda. Each member of the public will be allowed 3 minutes to speak. Comments or opportunities to speak during the public comment period are available via phone call by calling 1-408-418-9388. Again, the phone number is 408-418-9388. Access code number, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry, is 146-317-8718.
Is that everything?
No, it's not. Sorry. Okay, sorry. It's just this brief. The rest is brief. You will hear a beep when you are connected to the meeting. You will be automatically muted and in listening mode. When your item of interest comes up, dial *3 to raise your hand and be added to the public comment line. You will hear you have raised your hand to ask a question. Please wait until the host calls on you. The line will be silent as you wait your turn to speak. Ensure you are in a quiet location before you mute the sound of your equipment around you, including television, radio, and computer. It is especially important that you mute your computer if you are watching via the web link to prevent feedback and echo when you speak. When the message says your line has been unmuted, this is your turn. Okay, Madam President.
Great. And then I'm so sorry. Someone from tech support or Jim, do you mind allowing Andrew Shen up? He is our deputy city attorney. And I would like him actually on the panel in case we have questions.
Yeah, I can do that. She's the host.
Yeah, I'm about to right now. There he goes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. And then Secretary, would you please take roll call, please?
Sure. Give me 1 second to get to that page. Here we go. Okay, so President Mogi.
Here.
Vice President Bernholz.
Here.
Commissioners Donaldson.
Here.
Commissioner Jung. And Commissioner Jordanic.
Here. Here.
Thank you.
And Commissioner Rowe is absent today. Excuse, she did send me an email earlier.
She did. I saw that. Okay.
So we have quorum, so we can get started with our meeting. And let's move on to item number 2. Item number 2 is public comment on any issue within the Elections Commission's general jurisdiction that is not covered by another item on this agenda. Secretary, do you mind giving the instructions about public comment?
Sure. Okay. I'm so sorry. Let's see. Public comment on any issue within the Elections Commission. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Okay. When the system message says Your line has been unmuted. This is your turn to speak. So if there are any callers on the line that would like to speak, you have 3 minutes to do so and 6 minutes with an interpreter. Are there any callers who would wish to speak on this item? Item number 2?
And if you want to be in the
Oh,
queue,
I
press
see.
*3.
Yes, please press *3 if you would like to be in the queue.
Okay,
We do
So
have
I
some
believe-
hand raised, so
I'm sorry.
yeah, we do have some hand raised. So
Yes, we do. And I believe the first one is David Pilpel, and I'm going to go ahead and unmute you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Success.
Uh,
The system works.
yes, you have 3 minutes. I will set a timer.
Oh,
Thank you, President Mogi, who I've not met yet. David Pilpel, good afternoon. Just 3 brief comments under item 2, general public comment. First, Director Arntz and the department did a fine job on the election as always. I'm aware of no significant problems. Number 2, I noted the discussion at prior meetings about the redistricting task force. I served on the task force in 2011-2012, and I am interested again. So as you have further future discussions about the task force and an application process and all that, I intend to follow that. And just a very quick housekeeping item to Martha, in the future, if the agenda could use the local dial-up number, which is 415-655-0001, rather than the 408 San Jose number, that might reduce a barrier to participation. And if you could also please be sure to include a note on the agenda for all of the attachments, including the draft minutes and attachments like the EIP guidebook, which I found on the web but was not indicated on the agenda as an attachment. Anyway, keep up the good work. Thank you very much.
well, thank you.
Thank you. Next caller.
Next caller, you have 3 minutes to speak. Hit *3 to queue up.
There is one in queue, just you'll need to mute them. Call in user 3, it's underneath the attendee list.
Yeah, you mean unmute them? Yeah, they're unmuted.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. As the system lets someone know that they're being unmuted, if you're talking, we actually hear both, and so it can be difficult to hear that we're unmuted, just for future reference. My name is Lauren Girardin. I'm a member of the Ballot Simplification Committee. So as someone who spent some time before the election working to help make it all work a little bit better, I want to say thank you for all the work that you did to continue and enhance the process for voters in San Francisco. One item I wanted to raise is accessibility of information. I noticed that some of the Commission's PDFs, including the November 13th Director's Report, cannot be read by text readers, such as those relied on by people with visual and cognitive issues. Or, just people who don't want to look at a PDF or can't for, technical reasons. Some of the PDFs are not created correctly, so there's no readable text. This isn't actually a nice to have. The San Francisco government has an obligation under the Americans with Disabilities Act and other disability civil rights laws to provide equal access to all city and county programs and activities, including this one. I know that especially with the director's report, it's signed, but there are ways that can be provided so that everyone has access to the information. There are other alternatives to creating the PDF and also just putting the information on the website as plain text, and that would be really helpful. I'm not visually impaired and I even found it difficult to use that document this time, and it's very long. It would have been nice to be able to just even search for a keyword. So that's my comment. Thank you very much.
Thank you, caller. May I have the spelling of your last name, please? Lauren?
I'm sorry, what was that?
May I have the spelling of your last name, please?
Yes, it's G as in George, I,
Okay.
R as in Robert, A, R as in Robert, D as in David, I, N as in Nancy.
Thank you.
Gerardin.
Okay, thank you. Just want to make sure I record it correctly. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, we have one more caller on the line, and I'm going to go ahead and unmute your caller if you've already pressed *3. Once I unmute you, you should be able to speak.
Hi, my name is Jen Suri, and actually I wanted to comment about the very same thing that Lauren Giardin brought up about the flat PDF and how it wasn't searchable, specifically with the director's report. Another thing that, another housekeeping thing, I think especially with David bringing it up about the redistricting task force is that, you know, in the previous meeting, the YouTube videos haven't been uploaded yet. And so I know in like the past 2 meetings that there have been discussions about redistricting. And I think it would be to the public's interest to have those videos up from previous meetings for the public that have missed previous meetings. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment?
I see 2 hands up. If you've already commented, may I ask you to lower your hand, please?
Well, yeah, well, there's,
*3, David, will lower your hand. There you go. Thank you.
And you can also do that, Martha, with the little megaphone underneath the list. There's a clear button. So
Oh, okay. Thank you. I see it. Thank you.
Can I just make a quick comment in response to one of the comments?
sure.
The videos for the 2 previous meetings have now been posted. They were just posted late. So I'm going to make an effort to have those earlier in the future.
Yeah.
That's all. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, you know, to the public comment, thank you so much. You know, we are still working through a lot of kind of backlog within this commission, and thank you so much, Martha, for all your hard work. And we'll definitely be more diligent in trying to accomplish all of our, you know, have all of our materials ready, and then, you know, our posting and whatnot. I think we'll continue to work on that, and hopefully we'll get there. But thank you all for your comments. I know that these are important housekeeping, and so you know, we'll definitely focus on that for the future meetings. All right, so let's move on to item number 3, approval of minutes of previous meetings. Discussion and possible action on September 16, 2020 and October 21, 2020 meeting minutes to be presented for approval by the commission. Commissioners, do you have any comments on this before we move on to public comment?
I do have someone who's trying to come in right now. I'm just going to mute for a second because I need to.
Okay, Commissioner Jordanic.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment that Secretary Delgadillo, I think you did a great job. I thought it was, I know it's very challenging to kind of work out how to do those, but I like kind of the balance between the brevity, but also including like the key information. So I just want to thank you for doing such a good job in your first minutes.
Thank you. And I thank Deputy Attorney Shen for all his help with it too.
Yes, thank you, Deputy City Attorney. I know that you've provided a great feedback, and you know we've been working closer together on this, and so I really appreciate your support as well. And Secretary, thank you so much for all your work. I know it's a lot to do, and I know it's not all the meetings yet, but we're getting there, and I'm really excited. So I would love to see if we can approve the minutes today, if there are no other comments. If we can get a motion before we move on to public comment.
Are there any other callers on the line who would like to comment? I don't see any hands up, so I'm going to guess that we're good.
I'm actually asking for a motion before we
Oh,
move on to
I'm so
public
sorry.
comment.
I'm sorry.
Commissioner Jordan, is that you? I would need you to unmute yourself.
Yes, I move to approve the 2 minutes. Thanks.
Thank you. Motion made by Commissioner Jordan, second by Commissioner Donaldson. Let's take public comment on these minutes. Are there any public comments? Please raise your hand if you would like to make a public comment.
I don't see anyone raising their hand, President Mogi.
Okay, seeing none, public comment is closed. Roll call, please.
Okay. Okay. President Mogi, how do you vote on the motion to approve the meeting minutes for September and October 2020?
Yeah, you could just make roll call to call our names, and that's it. That's fine. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
President Mogi, how do you vote?
Yeah.
Okay. Vice President Bernholz?
Aye.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner Donaldson?
Yes.
Okay, so 4 yeas and 0 nays. The motion passes.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's move on to item number 4. Item number 4 are commissioner reports. Commissioner reports on topics not covered by another item on this agenda meetings with public officials, oversight and observation activities, long-range planning for commission activities and areas of study, proposed legislation which affects elections. Are there any commissioner reports?
Raise my hand on the thing.
I see Commissioner Donaldson and then.
Yeah, I did do election observation. Unfortunately, this year I was unable to attend the actual trainings, which I would have been very interested in. However, based on the election plan, which was as usual very thorough and well and informative, I was able to not only visit I visited 4 precincts as well as the election center on election day. And things were, at least the 4 polling places I went to were very well staffed. It seemed to be very well run. And though, as we've seen from the vote by mail versus in-person voting, the turnout actually in person was quite a bit lower, though a lot of people did drop off ballots reportedly in the precincts. I found I also went to my own precinct to make sure that I was on the roster as having voted by mail, which I was, and that process looked like it worked well when I was talking to the various the precinct workers. They described how they went through and actually marked into the roster those that had voted by mail, and they had all done that. It was quite thorough. I thought the protective devices and the layouts and the setup was very consistent. So the training went well. I think Director Arntz, as usual, it looked like it was a very well-run election. I also did visit the voting center in front of Bill Graham Civic, which was quite an amazing sight. It looked like, and I briefly had a chance to talk to Director Arntz that night, and I know Director Arntz. I think that there's some downsides to having that outdoor setup, but it looked like it was very, very good for voter throughput, the way it was laid out. There was actually some peak days, I think, that actually were quite high. When I went there on election night, it was surprisingly low volume. It was interesting to me how well protected that site was, both by the sheriffs as well as to assure that there was nobody going to traffic barriers to prevent anybody from trying to run into the election site. And I think with the contention around this election that was well thought out, thought through, and executed, both from a safety standpoint and a election operations standpoint, from my observation. So thank you, Director Arntz. It looked like it was very well run.
Thank you. Vice President Bernholz?
Sorry, mine is for the later commissioner's report. Nothing to report now.
Oh, we're in commissioner's report right now.
Sorry. I just wanted to
worries.
comment on the election integrity project attachment that was provided in the agenda. This has to do with some work I was very tangentially aware of out of the MIT and Stanford election project. I provided it, I believe, some after the election had happened, for which I apologize. But I think it's a useful report raising important issues about misinformation and disinformation, which will no doubt, unfortunately, continue to be an issue for elections going forward. So I'm just providing that as information to the commission and the public.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that with the commission and the public. Any other comments for our commissioner's report from commissioners? I'll have the, Commissioner Jordanek.
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly report, as we all know, we've been using ranked choice voting since 2004, and there were 6 additional jurisdictions that passed ranked choice voting this November. There was Albany, California, which is the 4th city in Alameda County that will now be using ranked choice voting. Also Eureka, California, and Boulder, Colorado, 2 cities in Minnesota, and also the state of Alaska, which was just a few days ago, they passed the threshold for yes. So there are just more jurisdictions using ranked choice voting. So I think it should help us here in terms of having more vendors with better support. That's all.
Thank you. Thanks for that update. I also had a chance to visit the voting center, and Dr. Arntz was able to give me a tour. So thank you so much for that. It really was well run. And I know we can't have that Bill Graham space, the voting center and where the ballot was being counted. No, we can't have that space in future elections, but I wish we can. It was just, I think, we just had so much space to do a lot of work that needed to be done, and people are not crammed in a tiny space. And so it was so well done. And then I know we can talk more about it in your director's report. And so my election day activities have shifted because I can't spend all day most of the time with my day job. So I was able to at least deliver snacks to the department, and that was my minor contribution for election day, because I don't think the commission, unless we are able to volunteer, don't really have a role in it. So it's just my way of saying I really do appreciate all the staff members that have been working. I know I shouldn't be just showing up on the day of elections, but there is some level of excitement there. But I know they've been working, for months to make this a successful election. So I just wanted to say congratulations and thank you. And I'm sure we'll talk more detail about it in your director's report. But for now, if there are no other comments, I would love to try to take a comment on this item.
If there are any callers on the line who would like to comment on this item, please do so now. You can hit *3 to comment. I don't see anyone raising their hands.
Okay, then public comment is closed. Let's move on to item number 5, director's report. The director's report is in our attachments. Director Arntz.
All right. Thank you, President Mogan. Thank you for the good words as well. We appreciate it. After you left in Polk Hall and Bill Graham, there's about 75 people holding a donut in their hand, enjoying their break. So, so thank you very much for that. As far as the election is concerned, we're current with the ballot processing. So we're not trying to get cards through right now and issuing reports on a daily basis. We're waiting now for voters to cure ballots that were challenged primarily for signature issues as we went through the election cycle. We received around, I think, 25 or so yesterday that were cured, and then I think we just had a couple today. But we have until this Friday to receive ballots from the post office that were postmarked on or before Election Day that we can process. And then the cure period continues until 2 days before I certify. On December 1st, we have to provide the results to the Secretary of State's office on the presidential contest. So right now I'm thinking I'll certify it on December 1st, although we have until December 3rd to certify under state law. But if the number of ballots coming back to us sort of comes to an end, then I don't think we'll keep the election open, because it's costing us money to maintain the facility at Bill Graham, and also having deputies at the warehouse while the election's not certified. So I think December 1st is when I'll certify the election. So the next meeting, I'll provide the vote by mail and the provisional breakdowns that I provide every election. After every election, I'll provide those to the commission, and those will be part of the certification packet that I provide to the Board of Supervisors, and we post on our website for every election. And then today we finished the 1% manual tally of the ballots down at our warehouse, so that's completed. So we're getting to the end of the election, really, at this point. As far as turnout is concerned, right now we stand at an 86.23% turnout, which is the second highest in the city's history. The highest that I can find is 86.82%, which occurred in November 1944. We won't get to that 86.82. We just don't have the ballots unless we get more cured ballots, but I don't think so. So I think we'll stay at the second highest turnout in the city's history. Yeah, we will have the most voters participating in election for this election, though. So that is one record that we've set. So as far as the election, I think, I agree with everyone. I think the department did a fantastic job, especially with the conditions that we started with really when the March election was still ongoing. Then we had people telecommuting really into July and some into August. So to have that all come together under these conditions with the new method of mailing everyone a ballot and then having the COVID protocols in place, I think everyone in the department did a very impressive job. And so I appreciate the good words from the commissioners, from certainly, and then also I just want to add my good words to the department. This is the best election cycle, really, I think we've run, and these last 3 elections are even more impressive. Since in 1 year's time, we've implemented a new voting system in November 2019. We turned around and conducted a March primary election, which included all the nonpartisan crossover vote issues that are always a challenge. And for this election cycle, of course, we ran a presidential election during the pandemic. So I think it's very good. I think we've got a good team here, and yeah, I'm just very proud of the process, and I'm very proud of the people around the department. I can take any questions at this point on our report, and then we can follow up again next month when I finalize everything.
Yeah.
Are there any questions from commissioners? Commissioner Jordanek.
Yeah, I just want to add my comments that I was very, very pleased with the job that you and your department did. I was also very surprised at pleasantly surprised at the small number of voters that voted in the polling place. I thought that was good to see, and it'll be good for the future. I do have a few questions on the ballots that are still coming in on the mail, like these days or like this week, how many ballots are coming in the mail? Like any or?
Not many. Yeah, just a handful at this
Handful.
point. Yeah.
Okay. One question I had was about on the results reports. I know this was an issue at the last election, and I suspect it's just an issue with the new voting system. But were you able to look into posting that ranked choice voting as HTML, or because currently it's just the PDF files? And
no, we can't post because we post what the system issues. I don't think the system issues an HTML on the ranked choice.
So the old one did. So the new one, you're saying, doesn't have that ability?
Yeah, I'll check again, Chris. I don't think this one does issue an HTML ranked choice.
Okay. Do you think you could maybe ask the vendor, like, if that's something they can add on? Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Also, I know, like in the past, you've done a pilot of a risk limiting audit. Are you planning on doing that this year?
No, not this year. We didn't. That was something that we just couldn't put together for this election. So we'll have to come back and start that back up for the November 2022 election.
Okay. And then my last question is about the Voters' Choice Act. I know you were quoted in a couple of newspaper articles about, how you're saying that you think this is going to be the last election where we're using polling places. But I also saw one of your quotes, and you've said this during meetings, that it would be very challenging to meet the requirements of the Voters' Choice Act because of the length of time that the vote centers have to stay open and the number. So are you suspecting that, do you think that those requirements are going to be relaxed? Are you kind of depending on that, or are there discussions at the state level that you know of?
Yeah, so the state is considering relaxing the time frame for voting centers to be open under the Voters' Choice Act. And really counties' experience that have implemented the Voters' Choice Act is that 11 days is not really well utilized by voters. Having the voting centers open starting the Saturday before Election Day, that's really when the high use occurs. So hopefully those discussions continue and there is a change in the law. But as far as San Francisco is concerned, if the law doesn't change and the board does adopt the Voters' Choice Act after February, then we would have to abide by having voting centers open starting 11 days before Election Day.
And then are you a part of the conversations where people are discussing changes to the state law?
No, not yet. I've not entered into those conversations.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions? Commissioner, Vice President Bernholz? You're on mute.
President Mogi, Director Lawrence, let me add my congratulations on an extraordinary job. I have a question, and you may be about to address this in the next agenda item under the Racial Equity Action Plan, but I'm curious in the discussions about the Voters' Choice Act, if there have been considerations, I'm sure there have been considerations paid to issues of racial equity, but as you're just juxtaposing these two, one a new set of alignment issues and the other the Voters' Choice Act, are there any concerns that the Commission should be aware of about how the Voters' Choice Act might interact with concerns about participation across demographic groups in elections?
No, nothing comes to mind. I'd be curious to know I'd be curious to know how the conversation goes around not having polling places in areas where there's low voter turnout. Because I was talking to our manager who organizes polling places, and he mentioned today that we have a polling place essentially every 450 feet in San Francisco because we have so many polling places and we're so dense in our population. And the voting centers would have less sites to go voting, even if they're open longer. So I'm curious to know what the conversation is going to be around maintaining a polling place structure versus a voting center structure. It'd be really expensive to use both models simultaneously. So we'll put our report together. Certainly, equity is one of the criteria that we're going to apply to any locations that we establish for voting centers. But there will be less voting centers than there would be polling places. Voting centers do allow people to register probably more easily on election day than polling places, because we're able to pull up records and input people immediately, then issue the ballot type, and then get those ballots processed probably more quickly. But polling places certainly have a good use when it comes to viability of locations. So no, I don't have any issues to bring to the commission, and I am also interested in knowing how the conversation will go regarding polling places in relation to vote center locations.
May I ask a follow-up? I'm wondering if you, Director Arntz, or any of the commissioners are aware of counties in California that have already moved to voting centers. I know, or I've heard, I don't know, I've heard that there have been some analyses about the voting centers done on cost, financial costs. But is anyone aware of any analysis done on participation across demographic groups?
I have not seen anything. I can look around, but I'm sure there's something, but I've not seen it.
Yeah, that seems a absolutely critical consideration. So I appreciate that. Thank you, Director Arntz.
Can I also ask a follow-up question?
Sure, and then Commissioner Donaldson.
Okay. I know in your report you said, Director Ernst, that the polling place turnout was 7%. And to Commissioner Bernholtz's comments, are there any parts of the city where that percent was still higher? Where maybe parts of the city still are using polling places more?
Yeah, there's certainly there's the average. Certainly there's higher usage in some parts than others whenever you average, but across the city, the number of people that voted at polling places in relation, especially when considering it's a presidential election, was very low. I've not looked at the numbers by area yet, but I don't think we got over 10%. If we did, I don't think there's many places that got over a 10% turnout, 12% maybe.
Yeah, if there are any precincts where it was higher than 10 or 15%, I think it'd be good to know. But and also just in answer to Commissioner Bernholtz's question about the demographics, I would look into I know Mindy Romero has a center on, she looks at demographics of things like vote by mail and vote centers. I believe she has a report that looked at some of those issues.
Okay.
So, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Donaldson? I think you're on mute.
I'm trying.
Oh, okay. Oh.
You're good now.
Stop. There we go. A little delay in reaction there. So one question I have for you, Director Arntz, is something that during the budget cycle came up, was the cost of setting up the VIP. And yes, it was quite a thick book. I did sign up to get my VIP online, but we had one at the house. My wife got one. So our next election of 2022, correct?
Correct.
I was wondering if it would, if you've given any thought to, or if you'd be interested in giving some thought to, a campaign to inform voters about the online option, given that seemed to be the single largest budget item as a single line item for the election.
We can, and we have before. We can certainly do it again going into the next election cycle.
Okay. When you tried it before, was there much uptake? Was there resistance or just disinterest?
I can check it. It's grown a bit over time. Hold on, I'll pull the number up.
While you're looking it up, it seems to me like, I think people are more, I don't know how long ago that might have been, but, people are more used to getting things online these days. There's a lot of, postage, the cost to the city, the paper, all of those things. It seems like there's a lot of things that would, that might appeal, particularly to San Franciscans, around getting something electronically.
Yeah, I agree. So right now we have around 37,000 people receiving the AAP digitally. So it's around 7% of the voters,
Right.
which has gone up a bit since last year. But yeah, we can certainly do another campaign encouraging people to sign up.
Yeah, and I'm also thinking about, you guys, the department's doing some great things online. I think in terms of presentation of information, if there might be some things that could, I don't know, make it more interesting. Maybe you could get a podcast like, version of the arguments or something like that. Maybe some things that would actually make it even more appealing in paper. Just, some ideas. The other question I have is a general question, though you would have specific knowledge of San Francisco. With all the discussion there's been about vote by mail around the country, of course, you've run quite a large vote by mail operation in San Francisco for some time. But one of the things that came up in my mind as there's a lot of discussion about the checking of signatures, et cetera, how long do we retain the envelopes for vote by mail, or are they retained?
Yeah, so we archive the envelopes for the retention periods specific to the type of election. And then for a presidential election, the retention period is 22 months. And so after 22 months, then we'll recycle the envelopes.
Mm-hmm. Has that ever been the subject of an audit, the signature, checking signatures or anything like that in San Francisco? Just curious.
What by not?
Well, like, I don't know, some outside group wanted to come in and check that in fact signatures on envelopes matched signatures on registration cards.
No, and I don't, since signatures are confidential information, I'm not sure how that would take place. Maybe Andrew can put some.
By court order, I suppose.
Again?
Something like that. Okay. That was it. Thank you.
Thank you. I had a couple questions as well. So can you just remind me, I always try to take notes. I think people like hearing about the statistic is, so in November of 1944, it was the highest at 86 point, what?
82.
82. Okay. And then I guess the website is just a little bit more updated from your director's report, correct? Because the number on the website is currently a little bit higher. Your report says 86.02, and then the website now says 86.2. So I just assume it's just higher from whenever you drafted this.
Correct.
Correct. Okay. And then I saw that 1,300 ballots have been challenged and 840 were resolved. Can you remind me? I don't. You have to give me the exact number, but I think there was a significant number that were challenged last cycle. I don't know if it was the March one or maybe even time before, but where it made the paper. Do you recall like what that number was?
Yeah, so the day after election day for the March election, received 8,000 ballots from the post office, and I think the 6,000 or something were postmarked the day after election day. And that was the reason those ballots were challenged. They weren't challenged for signatures or anything that we did. It just came postmarked after election day.
I know we worked really hard to advocate to be on time, and so I think it really worked. Obviously, knowing that we only had 1,300 challenged, and most of them it seemed like they were resolved, and so I'm really excited to hear that most of the ballots that were submitted have been counted. And then let me see on the report side. Yeah, I think those are just my questions. And again, thank you so much for such a great work, like as you mentioned about from November 19th with the new voting system and then March to put on a Super Tuesday election cycle right after and then an election during COVID. I do think that it was a big lift for the department. And so hopefully that staff are taking some time off and have some break time before we move into the new year. But thank you everyone for your team for such a great work, and I really do appreciate how amazing this department is. So just wanted to share those thoughts. And if there are no other comments from the commissioners, I would love to go into public comment. Let's take public comment.
Okay, if anyone would like to comment, please select *3. And actually, I see 3 callers on the line. I will unmute you, and you have 3 minutes to comment. I will start a timer. You are unmuted. First caller.
Hi, this is Lauren Girardin. I'm sorry, is this public comment for the full director's report or just part 1?
I'm so sorry. It is for the director's report. I'm sorry, Lauren.
Okay, thank you. That's fine. My comment is about item 2A. I noticed that there's a RFP being prepared for a vendor to support redrawing district boundaries. I'm wondering about that. This is maybe a question for Director Arntz or the commissioners, but is there or will there be any public discussion of the RFP before it is issued in December? And will there be any public discussion of the RFP process? I didn't get a chance to watch the 2 videos that were uploaded to the YouTube channel. So I'm not sure if this was discussed at previous meetings. So I would appreciate some information on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I will continue to the next caller. If you'd like to raise your hand, *3 will do that also. I'm sorry, if you would like to put your hand down. There we go. Thank you. Okay, so I will continue with Jen Say. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it incorrectly. There you go. You're unmuted, caller. You will have 3 minutes to comment. I will start the timer.
Thanks, Martha. It is Say.
It is Say. Okay, thanks, Jen.
Yeah, so my comment is also, similar to Lauren's, was about part 2, section 2, subsection A, about the RFP. And I guess as an additional question, just whether the contract, like if, whether the public will be able to discuss about the selection of the contractor and whether it will be done through the Elections Commission or through one of the committees through the Board of Supervisors. That's my additional question to that. And thank you.
Thank you. Please, there you go. Thank you. We have one more caller on the line. Mr. Hernandez, thank you for your patience. You have 3 minutes to comment. Hit *3 to do so. You are unmuted.
Pedro, you are unmuted. Hello?
Looks like he might be on a computer. There we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. My name is Pedro Hernandez. I'm the Senior Policy Coordinator at Fair Vote. We've been doing education around ranked choice voting in general. I wanted to express my gratitude for the Elections Commission and the Department of Elections for a great job they did. It was difficult circumstances around just logistical planning. All the registrar voters across the country were having different set of issues, but I felt encouraged because our city does prioritize its, what really makes our city at its core the strongest, our investment in our democracy and our democratic process. So I felt really encouraged by the outreach that was done. even though it was difficult and limited because of social distancing. I was pleased by the directors continuing to engage with the press to stay updated about the vote counts at the end. Even putting up videos on YouTube to kind of let the public and the press know what the status of the election was. I thought that was great. I think there's still going to be ongoing thoughts about, where the opportunities are. And I know that San Francisco is looking into adopting doing a study of the VCA, of the Voter Choice Act. And I did submit a study to Viva Emoji just a few minutes ago that was written by Mindy Romero and Eric McGee, studying the impact of the Voter Choice Act on different demographics in California. So I hope that she'll forward that on to the rest of the commissioners. But I think it's an opportune moment to kind of study it, since we kind of did it along with every other county in the state. So it will be interesting to know what comes out of that. But I do think that in-person voting has a role regardless of whether or not we go to an all vote by mail model, meaning that there still needs to be opportunities for people to cast a ballot in person. And I think the director has expressed that as well. That's it for now. And I'm excited to see that the commission is getting a lot of attention around the redistricting that's going to be happening next year. Thank you so much for your work.
Thank you. Yes, I did receive it, and so I will forward that along to the commission and to the director right now. All right.
Thank you to the caller.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments? I don't see any more. Just going to double check.
Pedro, if I can ask you to hit *3 so that you can put your hand down, please.
Okay, we could just refresh it too.
Yeah, that's what I was going to do.
There we go. Okay, seeing none, public comment is closed.
I do have one comment before we move on to the next item.
Okay, yes, go on.
President Mogi.
What was that noise coming from? Sorry, you startled me. Zoom startle, like.
Yes, all in our COVID pods. Sometimes that happens. I do, because two people brought it up, I think it would be worthwhile mentioning that I don't know all the process. Certainly Director Arntz knows it much better, but I do know enough to know that there's a standard procurement process in the city that Director Arntz follows. And I don't believe that, I think it's Director Arntz's choice, but generally these kinds of operational things are not subject to a lot of public scrutiny. You can certainly respond and read the RFP when it comes out. I just wanted to mention that. I don't know if Director Arntz wants to mention anything else.
Yeah, or Deputy City Attorney Chen. I don't know who would want.
Yeah, maybe Deputy Attorney Chen. Yes, that might be good. Just about the procurement process, Deputy City Attorney.
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to jump in very briefly, and certainly Director Arntz can add to this as well. But certainly it has been the practice of the department to issue these RFPs for redistricting consultants on its own. And certainly this is in keeping with that process and city procurement practices generally. And certainly the RFP itself is a public document. So certainly if there are members of the public that would like to review it, I'm sure they can easily access it through the department too, if they wish to do so later.
Thank you. Okay.
Great.
Vice President Mogi?
Yeah, thank you for catching that. Commissioner Jordanek, is your hand up for a comment?
Yeah, I also wanted to ask a couple questions about the RFP since a couple callers raised it. So Director Arntz, will the public be able to see the RFP before it's actually issued?
No, so we're almost done with the RFP. We have to issue it in the next couple of weeks. It'll follow the RFP we issued 10 years ago to identify a consultant to support the redistricting task force. So there's not really, we're not asking for anything different than before. But we don't have time for a public process on this. We have to get the RFP issued. We will follow all of the city's procurement practices and and policies. So.
Okay, and then what is the approximate amount, out of curiosity?
I think it's $175,000.
And then lastly, if a member of the public wants to see the RFP after it's issued, where would they go? To the certain website?
Yeah, so all the RFPs that are issued in the city go to the Office of Contract Administration's website, and then also we can post it on our website as well, so people can find it there. Okay, and then for any members of the public that are listening, if there was some concern about the RFP or suggestion, feel free to email that, and I can forward it to the director as they're preparing. But okay, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for following up on those comments. All right, if we can move on, then let's move. Public comment has been closed, and let's move on to item number 6. Letter commending department's performance during the November 3rd, 2020 election. Discussion and possible action regarding letter to be sent to city officials commending the department's performance during the November 3rd, 2020 election. I had, I wanted to bring this up. I didn't have anything drafted yet. I wanted to bring this up before I did. But as Director Arntz just mentioned, and all of us have shared our kind of overall kind of feelings and sentiments, is that, they ran a tremendous election under a really tough scenario. I myself, who my day job is working for a school district and trying to reopen schools, there's just so much, that, and like operationally and just changing systems to everything and shifting mindsets and everything else has just been so tough. And on top of that, with the scrutiny that we have been receiving, not as this department particularly, but election as a whole in the country about, security and safety and also fairness, and all these things that are kind of our core values. We had, knowing there's been, a lot of eyes on us, and also just the amount of pressure to do something during an unprecedented time. I really wanted to share our gratitude, not only just to the department, but also to our other city officials. Also, in kind of thinking through a lot, we also, the department did go through its own budget cuts this year, and we know that budget cuts will continue on. We won't have an election in 2021, but we will be going through redistricting. And, I know that won't be much I'm sure there's going to be some operational shifts that the department will have to get ready for, but, the recession will continue on even after 21, and it will likely be in 2022 and onward. And I just want us to have on record and remind people, because everyone tends to have a very short-term memory now, that if we do have, really kind of put it in writing, all the great work that the department has done, not just this particular election, but also in this year. I would love to be able to draft something and then share it directly to the mayor and to the board of supervisors and other, perhaps to the Secretary of State office. All these great data and statistics and what we did and how the department did. I would love to be able to share that. We often don't share good news in government. We always get in the spotlight when something bad happens. And so I do want to take this opportunity to be able to do this. And I think it's timely. We haven't certified the election, but I didn't want to wait until the next commission meeting, just because then I think people will then be in the holiday mode. And so I'm just proposing this to the commission and wanting to hear your thoughts. Of course, if you want further discussion, we can have it in the December meeting as well. But I thought I would just put this on the agenda and wanted to hear your thoughts. Commissioner Donaldson?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I think that particularly the performance in this election. I think we all were impressed with the adaptation, the rapid adaptation to what was a lot of moving in what is a complex process. But I think, yes, the department stepped up, the city stepped up. And I think that it's also good to put down in writing that San Francisco is an exemplary of how elections should be run. Because, to call out the department, the city, but also to call attention to practices that result in election integrity.
Commissioner
Good
Jordan.
idea.
Thank you.
Yes, so I'm in favor, if that wasn't clear.
Yeah, I would also support a letter like that. I think it's a great idea. I can't remember us ever having done that. I am wondering a little bit about, if we send the letter before it's been certified and before we've kind of formally voted to approve of everything, maybe we want to keep the letter a little bit more general. But I think it's a great idea. Were you thinking of us like approving it in advance, or did you want to like draft it and then let the commission see it, or how did you see that?
Yeah, I was hoping to be able to just like what we did during the budget cycle, like we could talk about what you want included here in the meeting today, and I can make sure it's included in the letter. And then having myself, I assume it would be me as president of the commission to also sign it. So I'm happy to draft it, and whoever else wants to review it beforehand. Last time around, I think Commissioner Donaldson and Commissioner Rowe made some edits and supported me on it, and then we submitted the letter to the mayor regarding the budget item and our advocacy to the mayor's office. So we can do. I was hoping for something similar to that kind of thing, so that we don't have to wait until another meeting, and also that you would give authority to maybe one or two members of the commission to be able to draft it together, so that it would be coming from more from the whole commission. Any thoughts to that?
Sounds like a good process.
Is that okay, Commissioner?
I do think Commissioner Jordanek's comment on the timing is important.
Yes.
So as long as that's we certainly don't want to give any impression of, I don't know,
I agree.
Over enthusiastic support or something.
Yeah.
Before you actually.
Yeah, I had the same thought as well, and I could wait it until December 1, and we can have something drafted and sent. But our next meeting wouldn't be till like December 18th, and so that's why I was like, timing wise, it's just a bizarre timing, and so I wanted to at least move on with the process, and then it'll give us like a week or two. It'll give us a little bit of a wiggle room and wiggle time to be able to draft something more thoughtful.
Great, thank you so much, and thank you for the idea and for carrying it off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And I would like to support the comment also that I think that we need to go through the process of the election being certified, the post-election results, and having that vote before we would consider this. Not that it couldn't be prepared, but that at that point we can decide that whether it was appropriate or not. I think we all feel that it is now, but of course, all the information, we don't have all the information yet to certify the election.
I think a little disconnected, but that's a very cute cat, Commissioner Bernholz. Commissioner Donaldson, you kind of cut off. I didn't hear that.
Yeah, my internet is being flaky. I just said that we wouldn't want to do this obviously before, or at least not to vote to send such a letter in advance of certifying the election as free and fair.
So what I'm hearing is a letter to be drafted, and I can be the one to send it out after the election has been certified. And I had made a suggestion that it can go to the mayor, to the Board of Supervisor, and then to the Secretary of State, and any other. Yeah, I was just going to keep it at that level. Perhaps our assembly member and senator as well, just our local representatives, so they know as well. And
I don't think it would be inappropriate to send it to our congressman.
And okay,
Congressperson.
Yeah, that's true. So we can do that as well. So any kind of from local government, not local government, I'm sorry, local legislators, I think would be sufficient enough. And then would anyone be wanting to just review with me? I mean, I'm actually going to ask at least Deputy City Attorney to at least review it, but outside of that, that's not asking. It's just like, I'm definitely going to send it to you. So you can definitely, if you would, I would have really appreciate it. And if there's anyone else would want to read it, I can definitely do it myself. I just want to offer it up to anyone else that would want to.
Yeah, I would be happy to look it over as well.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. So I myself with Commissioner Jordanek will do that. So I would ask somebody to make a motion. I'm not sure if I should be doing it myself, but.
Do we need a motion on this?
I think so.
Yes, we're getting a yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it would be best for the commission to do a motion to sort of authorize or delegate to President Mogi to go ahead and draft this letter.
Yeah,
That now sounded like a motion, DCHN.
You're not allowed to make motions. Thank you.
I will move that we authorize President Mogi to draft and send a letter after reviewing with one or two other commissioners, a letter that thanking and commending the department for its work on this election and past elections. Does that seem sufficient? And then to be sent after the election is certified.
Yeah, I think that's sufficient. Thank you, Chris.
I'll second.
Thank you. Before we take a roll call vote, can we take public comment on this item?
I don't see any hands raised.
Okay, great. Public comment is closed. Roll call, please.
Okay, President Mogi,
Yes.
Vice President Bernholz,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordanek,
Yes.
Commissioner Donaldson.
Yes.
Okay, with 4 in the affirmative, the motion carries. No nays, no
Yes.
abstain, 0 abstain.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's great. Thank you, commissioners. I really appreciate it. And I will send the draft to Commissioner Jordanek, and I will send the final version to everyone on the commission after the election is certified. All right, let's move on to item number 7, Racial Equity Action Plan. Discussion and possible action regarding the Office of Racial Equity and Action Plan. I am going to say that I was supposed to respond to an email to Deputy City Attorney Shen and reach out to the director about what is our role in this. Well, before we go there, I didn't speak with directly there, but there is a particular role for the commission that has been requested by the Office of Equity. Deputy City Attorney Shen, do you mind providing a little bit of context to the commission about this?
Certainly, I can try to provide a little bit of context, and Director Arntz can weigh in here as well. But the city recently created a new Office of Racial Equity within the Human Rights Commission. And one of the initial tasks that is within its jurisdiction is to essentially survey and communicate with and work with various city departments, including the Department of Elections and the Elections Commission, to develop these action plans regarding racial equity. A lot of the action plans, as far as I'm aware of, and certainly Director Arntz can speak to this as well, is directed at the department. to speak to racial equity issues and how they plan to address those issues in the coming months and years. And a portion of that action plan, I believe, although it would be best if we can confirm with the Office of Racial Equity itself, a portion of that plan is directed at the commission and sort of how they can work with the department and further that goal. So I will confess that I don't have a lot of details about the process because it is an entirely new one and one that I'm also learning about as well. So we may need to come back at a future meeting with a few more details, but that's in a very, very broad strokes what the process is here.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I will preface too that I didn't also get enough information in time, and so I don't have much to report as well. But I think there are two goals. One is a commission to take kind of like write its own action plan. I don't think that we can really, I was a little confused because, you know, we can't create, it would be a challenge to have an appointed body to create its own team to be diverse just because we're all appointed by various different elected members. And so I would have to ask the Office of Equity of what they're thinking of in terms of that. And I think the other goal, again, is that there is this, how can we as a commission work with the department, which I understand the department is also required to submit its plan to the Office of Equity. How can we work with them in regards to making sure that it's meeting its goals? And so maybe Director Arntz, if you can share what you're thinking. I know that it was partially in your director's report, but I know that I don't know if you plan on actually bringing your report to us or you're just going to submit it to the Office of Equity. Maybe we can talk through that right now.
Yeah, so the ordinance that authorizes these equity plans requires departments with commissions to have the commission for the departments to present the equity plans to the commission. So the commissions don't approve the department's equity plans, but the plans must have a public hearing essentially. And then the department has to submit its equity plan to the Office on Racial Equity by December 31st of this year. And then the commission, I don't know if the commission has to have a plan, but looking at the information that we received from the Office on Racial Equity, the commission would review and revise bylaws, collect demographic information on current commissioners, reserve board and commission seats for diversity, determine standardized protocols for a reasonable request for accommodation, so things like that. But the department has more of a plan that it has to create, which we'll bring forward to the commission at its next meeting. We actually have a meeting tomorrow with the Office of Racial Equity for an initial review of our plan. So we get some feedback on our plan, our draft plan, before we bring it to the commission for a public hearing next month. But I don't think the commission has to go as far as the department did in creating a plan.
Thank you. That's actually great context, so that yes, we will look forward to seeing your plan next time around. And I think this, I mean, as a commission, I think we can decide. I know we're going to go through the next item, which is on the evaluation. Obviously, we wouldn't be able to evaluate on this component this year, but maybe for future evaluations, if you want to add a component on it, since it will be a department requirement to provide this plan, and that could be a possible way that we can kind of hold ourselves accountable to making sure that we are working together with the department. That's a suggestion. Obviously, it's just something that I've been thinking about in terms of how we can work together. But I don't know if anyone has any other comments. I apologize that there isn't much context. I will follow up by the next meeting what our role, expectations of our role during the next meeting. Commissioner Jordanek.
Yeah, does the I know you might not have the answers today, but does this does the racial equity law require that we have revisit this every year, or is this just a one-time thing that you kind of set in motion? Because if not, I could see one of the things we could do is commit to having this be an issue every year where we revisit this, even outside the evaluation process. But do you know if it's something we need to, is there any requirement to be discussing this every year, or is it beyond the start?
For the department?
The commission, or both.
I don't think in the actual language, correct me if I'm wrong, Deputy City Attorney, is that I don't think there's anything from what I read that it's a requirement that we review it every year. Or I guess maybe Director Arntz, is there a requirement that that you're going to have a review done by the Office of Racial Equity on your plan? What's kind of the next step out after the plan? I guess maybe that's a better question to ask.
So my understanding is we submit the plans by December 30th of this year. Then 2021 is a formulation and finalization of the plans. The plans need to be set for 2022, and then I think the plans are valid for 3 years. Every 3 years, we're supposed to review and update the plans. And the updates on the plans, at least partially, is from feedback from the Office on Racial Equity. So the department would be tracking its progress with racial equity goals, and then the Office on Racial Equity would be receiving our information on how we're doing, and then we would get input from the Office on Racial Equity to formulate and change the plans every 3 years. That's my understanding.
Okay.
So yeah, like you said, we could also, in next meeting after we review the plan, like we could decide. I made the suggestion during the evaluation process, but Commissioner Jordanek, if you want to, we can have a standing, once a year meeting to just do a check-in. That is something that we can also explore as well. Any other comments on this?
I don't see anyone's hand raised. Caller.
Oh, sorry, I haven't called public. I was asking the commission.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. If there are no questions with the commission, then I will move on with public comment on this item.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I'm like speaking for you.
If any of the callers currently connected to the meeting, if you'd like to raise your hand, press *3. You'll have 3 minutes to comment. I don't see anyone raising their hands, Madam President.
Okay, then public comment is closed.
Actually, President Mogi, can I ask a clarifying question about this?
Yeah.
Director Arntz, do you know if the racial equity plan is more about sort of the department's internal operations, or is it also focused on like service to the public and things like voting, or is it just more about hiring and culture?
So both elements are included in our plan. The first phase revolves around our internal practices and standards, and then the second phase would focus on the equitable provision of services such as voting and information to the public. But the first step is internal, then the next step is more external.
Okay, thanks.
Great, thank you. We'll look forward to it, and then I will follow up by the next meeting about this item and our role and what is expected on the commission. Okay, let's move on. Item number 8, objectives and process for annual performance evaluation of Director of Elections. Discussion and possible action regarding the preparation of objectives and process for performance evaluation of the Director of Elections. Actually, there really isn't much. I just wanted this to be the opportunity to send a reminder that we have asked by December 1 to submit. I think I'm supposed to still send over everyone the actual document, so I will do that right after this meeting.
Can actually, if you don't mind, President Mogi, I do have a little bit of further information for the commission about the exact form or template that you should all be using.
Thank you for following up.
Yeah, if you don't mind,
Yes,
this is
please.
a little bit, this is sort of my homework assignment from the last meeting. So I did reach out to DHR because I think a few members of the commission had questions about, generally the direction or the decision of the commission was to use the same criteria as in the last evaluation. But a few folks asked about the new form or updated form that DHR provided us and how exactly we would sort of move those criteria over into this new form. So I talked to DHR, and the direction, and also with my colleagues in the city attorney's office who directly provide labor advice. So we do have some flexibility here and we have some latitude. So we can simply use the old form with the old criteria, or if we wish to do so, we can sort of move or import those criteria into the new form. So we're not really restricted, and that you have a lot of flexibility in exactly how you want to do the department head evaluation. And I'm happy to work with you, President Mogi, offline to sort of get all the right language in the right place to help get it out to the rest of the commission.
My recommendation was to use last time around, just because I think we finally got to a place where we felt most comfortable. But I'm open to hearing from other commissioners if they have thoughts on doing the latter recommendation that the Deputy City Attorney Shen just mentioned.
Oh, right. And I didn't mean to sort of want to request the commission revisit its prior decision at all, but I think just some folks had some questions about exactly, what template they should be using. So I just want to make sure that the commission understands we can use the exact same template, which I think was the prior decision, notwithstanding that the new form looks a little bit different and is set up a little bit differently. So just wanted to clarify things for folks.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
We did kind of move forward with the the using the same form, but if there are other thoughts today, I think we can, obviously take an action on it if commissioners have strong opinions about how they want to complete the form. Seeing none, then we will send Deputy City Attorney Shen, can you just I'll send what I think it is, and then can you just double check before I send it to the whole commission?
Yeah, so I think at most, and I can have my staff help with this. I think we may just need to change the dates on the form, for example, to have the right year and such, and the right reporting period for evaluation of Director Arntz. But otherwise, I think we'll just leave the rest alone. But I'm happy to work with some of my staff to get it ready for you for review.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, and then I will be the one that's going to be, so if folks can send it to me by December 1 or 2, then I think that would be fine for me to then take the time to then put it together and then submit it for us to review it in closed session in the next meeting, our December meeting. So with that, yes.
The one question I would have, President Mogi, is that in prior year, or at least last time, we did put in key policies that the has decided that such as open source and other kinds of things that were part of the evaluation criteria because they were policies of the commission. Should we be addressing those? Should we add those in before this goes out for evaluation? Or are you thinking of a different process?
I think we could add the same ones. I just don't think we have anything new from the previous year, though, unless I'm wrong. Yeah.
But
I'm looking at Commissioner.
Those policies.
Yeah, I think the template that we looked at the last meeting already had those listed from before.
So, but we don't have new ones,
okay.
Right?
No new ones.
I guess I was top.
Oh, I'm sorry. I missed the last part. I just heard you laugh.
Yeah.
What did you?
Nothing important. It's okay.
Okay. Okay, so let's take public comment on this item, and then before we move on, are there any public comment on this item?
If you have public comment, please press *3. I don't see anyone raising their hand.
Okay, then public comment is closed. We'll move on to the last item. Item number 9 is agenda items for future meeting discussion and possible action regarding items for future agendas. Obviously, we will be talking about the evaluation in closed session, and then maybe just in the director's report, we can talk through I mean, we'll decide, but we will be whether it's probably going to be a separate item, but on the Office of Racial Equity component like this time around. And then are there any other, Commissioner Bernholtz?
I believe next month will be Commissioner Rowe's last meeting, so I'd just like to acknowledge her service.
Yes, thank you. It will likely not. She might. She's allowed to stay on, I think, 90 days after her term expires. So I just have to double check with her if she's already going to have an appointment done by December, end of December. If not, then she may actually help us through the couple months into the new year. But it is technically the end of her term. Yes. So yes, thank you for that.
Thank you. Bye.
Commissioner Jordanek?
Yeah, with regard to the redistricting, what was the next step on that? Did we need to like agree on a document or something that we discussed at the last meeting, or the criteria that we were going to write up?
Yeah, I was going to bring that up.
Oh, okay.
I owe the commission an update on the discussions from last month, and I got started late. I started going through that. I've had to go back and listen to it. Anyways, I will have something for next month and in advance, based on that assignment from last month that I accepted.
Yeah, we didn't hear back, so we just took it off the agenda, assuming that it wasn't ready. And we do still have some time, and so I'm glad we knew this kind of thing would happen. So.
Okay, then I would just say to make sure we have a separate item for like reviewing formally the election, and then also.
I'm sorry, can you say that one more time? The election or the redistricting?
The election.
The election, yes. Okay, yes.
And then I think for the holdover, it's 60 days for commissioners. So.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay.
2 meetings. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you for that clarification. So redistricting, Office of Racial Equity, and then evals. Okay, sounds good. If there are no other comments from the commission, then I'll take public comment right now.
If anyone would like to comment, please press *3 to enter the queue. I don't see anyone raising their hands, President Mogi.
Okay, thank you. If not, then yes, public comment is closed. And if there are no other comments from commissioners, I will adjourn this meeting at 4:30 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Good holiday.
Happy holidays.